Welcome to our discussion on crimes committed by public officers under the revised Penal Code.
In this chapter, we explore who can be identified as public officers as per the revised Penal Code. According to Article 203, public officers include any person taking part in public functions. Public officers are defined as individuals appointed by law or elected to perform duties for the government. This includes employees, agents, and officials of any rank performing public duties. Understanding who public officers are is vital for enforcing the laws related to public function performance.
Judges have a critical role in delivering fair judgments. This section discusses dereliction of duty in the legal profession. A judge knowingly rendering an unjust judgment faces severe penalties including prison and lifelong disqualification. Judgment rendered through negligence can also lead to serious consequences for judges, including arresto and temporary special disqualification.
A judge who knowingly renders an unjust interlocutory order faces severe penalties. The penalty includes arresto in its minimum period and suspension. If a judge acts out of inexcusable negligence and the order is manifestly unjust, the penalty is suspension. Judges guilty of malicious delay in the administration of justice face serious penalties as well. Penalty includes prison correctional in its minimum period.
Revelation of secrets. An attorney revealing client secrets faces serious consequences. Penalties include imprisonment or fines ranging from $40,000 to $200,000. This applies to any attorney who prejudices their client through negligence or ignorance. Same penalties apply to attorneys who represent opposing parties without consent. Actions like these erode trust and violate legal ethics, resulting in severe penalties.
Direct bribery involves a public officer agreeing to commit a crime for personal gain, receiving gifts or promises in return. The penalty for such actions is prison in medium to maximum periods, along with severe fines based on the gift's value. If the officer accepts a gift but does not commit a crime, penalties still apply, including potential prison correctional. If a gift is received to keep the officer from fulfilling official duties, the officer faces maximum penalties with substantial fines. Beyond the penalties, the culprit will also suffer from special temporary disqualification, barring them from public duties. The law applies not only to public officers, but also to assessors, arbitrators, and others carrying out public responsibilities.
Article 211 defines indirect bribery, imposing penalties on public officers accepting gifts related to their office. Penalties for accepting gifts include prison correctional and public censure, as outlined in Article 211. Article 211A addresses qualified bribery, where a law enforcement officer neglects duties for bribes. If a public officer demands a bribe, the penalty is death, emphasizing the severity of the offense. Article 212 states that individuals who bribe public officials face similar penalties to those who accept the bribes.
The penalty for public officers committing fraud against the Treasury includes imprisonment or fines ranging from 40,000 pesos to 2 million pesos. Public officers who defraud the government in dealing with supplies, contracts, or accounts face serious consequences. Officers collecting taxes or fees can be penalized for demanding unauthorized payments or failing to issue receipts. They may also be guilty if they accept items as payment that differ from legal provisions. For officers of the Bureau of Internal Revenue or Customs, specific administrative rules apply.
Article 214 outlines penalties for public officers guilty of frauds or deceits while in position. Penalties include temporary special disqualification up to perpetual disqualification. These penalties are in addition to those in Chapter 6, Title 10, Book 2 of the Code. Public officers must not exploit their positions for fraud or deceit. Violations of these provisions can severely impact one's career and integrity.
Any public officer accountable for public funds or property who misappropriates or permits others to take such funds shall suffer penalties. Penalty for misappropriation not exceeding 40,000 is prisión correccional in medium and maximum periods. For amounts over 40,000 and up to 1,000-1,200,000, the penalty is prisión mayor in minimum and medium periods. If the amount involved is more than 1,200,000, but not exceeding 2,400,000, the penalty escalates to a maximum of reclusion temporal in minimum period. For amounts above 20,400,000 and up to 4,400,000, the penalty is reclusion temporal in medium and maximum periods. Amounts exceeding 40,400,000 but below 8,800,000 lead to reclusion temporal in maximum period. Exceeding this results in reclusion perpetua. Guilty persons also face perpetual disqualification and fines equal to the funds malversed or property embezzled.
Any public officer required to render account who fails to do so for 2 months shall face penalties including imprisonment or fine. Public officers who leave the country without settling their accounts face penalties including arrest and fines. Using public funds for unintended purposes results in imprisonment or fines based on the amount misapplied. Public officers failing to pay from government funds may face arrest and fines based on the sum not paid. Penalties for public officers include various forms of disqualification and fines based on misapplication or failure to deliver. This article defines the application of provisions regarding private individuals in charge of funds and property. Provisions apply to anyone handling insular, provincial, or municipal funds, revenues, or property. This includes administrators or depositories managing funds or property seized by public authorities. The provisions apply even if the property in question belongs to a private individual. Understanding these provisions is important for accountability in managing public and private resources. Public officers consenting to a prisoner's escape face severe penalties. Consenting leads to harsher punishments. If the fugitive is sentenced, punishments include medium to maximum prison time and disqualification. For unsentenced prisoners held only for detention, penalties are less severe but still significant. Negligence by the officer in custody also results in serious penalties, from arresto mayor to prisión correccional.
Any private person who has custody of a prisoner must abide by the law. Offenses committed will lead to penalties. The penalty for private individuals committing offenses while holding a prisoner is lower than that for public officers. Public officers removing or concealing important documents face severe penalties for breaches of trust. Severe damage caused by the removal or concealment of documents results in heavier penalties, including fines. For less severe damage, officers still face prison time and fines, ensuring accountability. Public officers have a duty to protect the secrets of private individuals. Revealing these secrets is a serious offense. Any public officer who reveals such secrets shall face arresto mayor penalties. In addition to imprisonment, there is also a fine not exceeding 200,000 pesos. This law has been amended by RA 1951, emphasizing the importance of confidentiality for public officials. Understanding these penalties is key to ensuring that public trust is maintained.
Any public officer charged with the custody of sealed papers or property who breaks the seals shall face severe penalties. Public officers must not open closed documents without proper authority. Violators face serious penalties. Any public officer revealing secrets gained through their official capacity faces severe consequences based on the damage caused. If the revelation does not harm public interest, a lesser punishment applies, including fines and temporary disqualification. These laws are enforced to protect the public interest and ensure the integrity of public office.
Any public officer revealing private secrets acquired through their position shall face legal consequences. Those who disclose secrets may face arresto mayor, a significant legal penalty. Fines may be imposed as high as 200,000 pesos, 200,000, for breaches of this law. This law aims to protect the privacy of individuals from public officials who misuse their access. Remember, revealing confidential information can lead to serious consequences.
Judicial or executive officers who refuse to execute orders from superior authorities face serious penalties. Penalties include arresto mayor, prison correctional, and fines up to 200,000 pesos. Any public officer suspending superior orders and disobeying after disapproval can face imprisonment and disqualification. Penalties include imprisonment and perpetual special disqualification for disobeying after order suspension. Public officers failing to assist competent authorities may also face severe penalties, including hefty fines. Consequences can lead to arresto mayor, imprisonment, or fines taking into account the damage caused to public interest.
Anyone elected to a public office who refuses to be sworn in or perform the duties without legal reason faces serious penalties. The penalty for refusal includes arresto mayor or a fine up to 200,000 pesos. Public officers who maltreat prisoners will face imprisonment for their cruel actions and liability for any injuries caused. Penalties can be harsh, including prison correctional to prison mayor for improper handling or punishment of prisoners. If maltreatment is intended to extort confessions or information, the offender faces even harsher penalties. Any person assuming public duties without being sworn in or giving the bond will be suspended until compliance and fined 40,000 pesos to 100,000 pesos. Public officers continuing their duties beyond the legal period face minimum prison term penalties and fines up to 100,000 pesos. Any public officer who abandons their post before resignation will face arresto mayor, damaging public service. Abandonment to evade duties in prosecuting crimes leads to harsher penalties, including prison correctional. Usurpation of legislative powers incurs penalties such as imprisonment, disqualification, and fines for public officers who exceed their authority. Penalties include prison correctional, temporary disqualification, and fines up to 200,000 pesos for exceeding authority. Judges must not assume executive powers or obstruct lawful exercises of these powers. Violations attract medium to minimum imprisonment. Any officer from the executive branch who assumes judicial powers or hinders a judge's decisions faces arresto mayor to prison correctional penalties. These provisions safeguard government branches from overreach and ensure the separation of powers is maintained.
Any public officer who continues proceedings after being lawfully required to refrain shall face arresto mayor and a fine up to 100,000. An executive officer addressing any orders to a judicial authority on a case under exclusive court jurisdiction will incur arresto mayor and a fine of up to 100,000. Public officers who appoint individuals lacking legal qualifications shall face arresto mayor and a fine up to 200,000.
Penalties of prison correccional in medium and maximum periods shall be imposed on public officers for immoral advances. Warden or officer making immoral advances to prisoners is also subject to severe penalties. If the solicited person is a family member of someone in custody, penalties are increased. The penalties for such cases shall be prison correccional in minimum and medium periods along with temporary disqualification. We appreciate your time and attention today. Your support makes a difference.